coming out of the left corner for season 2, Katie Culver-Brandt. Sitting in the middle. Sitting in the middle wearing a red-billed hat and brunt boots, Phil Hines. And your favorite, your host, your coach, your do-it-all, sitting in the right corner, Jordan.
Welcome back to our season premiere of The Garden Dirt. So we wrapped up season 1 in December, took a couple months off, and now we are back at it. We have a really good guest lineup for the season, so we're really excited about that. Season 2, if you didn't catch that. Anyways, what are you guys most excited for this season?
Everything. All of it. All the knowledge.
That was incredibly specific.
I think getting a lot more guests on this year, having a little diversity, getting more into the landscape side with some guests is going to be very educational and inspiring.
We have some very knowledgeable people lined up for a very educational experience for season 2, but obviously some fun thrown in there too. So we have like Dee, Bob, Sharon, so many fun people from the retail department. We have some of our designers. We have some subcontractors lined up. So stay tuned for a lot of guests.
It's going to be fun.
We're going to just start with getting to the root of it because we've gotten a lot of questions about trimming. A lot of people with the nicer weather and, well, it was snowy last week, but you know, with the weather kind of getting nicer in the 50s in the sun, everyone's like, okay, I should probably start cutting this back now. I should cut that back now. But you don't want to cut everything right now. Really, it's too late for oak trees. So oak trees are one of the only things you want to do in the winter, and you have to do them in the winter. If you miss the oak tree window, do not do it in the summer. It's going to invite like oak wilt, disease, insects, and it's just not going to be good for them. So you want to make sure you do the oak trees in the winter.
On the flip side, your maple trees you don't want to do right now.
Yeah.
You want to wait because the sap will
just explode out of there. So you want to do them in late May, June.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maple trees later.
Oh, wait. On the maple tree thing, weren't they talking about the extreme cold that we had this winter? Like,
oh my gosh,
maple
the
trees were
exploding
exploding?
trees.
They weren't.
Yes, they were, Jordan.
A lot of that was AI.
Yes, but it was on. Yes.
Well, yes. If you watch the trees explode.
But people were talking about it. So basically, maple trees. I was literally just talking about this yesterday, but you want to make sure that you wrap them with like a tree wrap in the winter that's breathable, but you have to take it off in the spring and then put it back on in the fall. So you want to do that for about like the first 5 years. Maples are just a lot more susceptible to like freezing and thawing and cracking. And so if you see like cracks in your bark in the spring, it's fine. They're going to be okay. You just want to keep the wound clean and dry. Do not put any like tar or anything. That's like, I know, like an old school method trying to like fix the wound. Honestly, just
you don't seal it.
Yeah, it honestly just makes things way worse. So you want to just keep it clean and dry. But yeah, maple trees are very susceptible to like cracking in the winter. So that's mainly what was happening. But all over TikTok and the internet, people were talking about when it was like negative 30 and 40 degrees, people were talking about maple trees literally like exploding. And I saw all these AI videos of them just like
blowing up,
like literally blowing up.
Shrapnel everywhere.
Yeah, and that was not happening. So Bob didn't know about that, and I mentioned it on the radio show like a month ago, and he just laughed. He's like, what? And on a break, I showed him a video, and he's like, that is so not real. Yeah. But speaking of that, we're coming up on spring. I do have to say a note on the AI. We're coming up on spring. We get so many questions of like, do you have this? Do you have this? And like, it'll be...
I just saw one the other day. It's a purple and black hosta. Those do not exist.
So hostas specifically, we've gotten there's a lot of AI out there about like these rainbow hostas, these bright pink hostas, like hot pink with like these incredible blooms. Last year, somebody was asking Steve and I about like this plant that blooms literal, like the flowers are shaped exactly like a butterfly. And sometimes flowers are shaped like certain things, like the string of hearts or something. They'll look like a heart or what?
What?
That doesn't look like a dragon.
Doesn't look like a dragon.
Yeah, it does.
Not to me.
And you can grab the flower and you push it and they open and close.
Oh, that's true. They do open up. Yeah. But like it's more of like a symbol of something versus anyways, the picture somebody was showing us was literally like a butterfly with details and everything. And it was bright blue. Blue flowers don't usually exist.
They do.
Well, are you talking about hydrangeas?
No, there's a Rosa Sharon. That's a blue chiffon that has blue flowers. So.
But is it like a deep, bright blue?
It's
This is like a
nice blue.
vibrant, like, I don't even
Just
know what I'm
fact.
trying. Okay. But I'm saying like
Seed.
annuals, there's not like blue butterflies that sprout out of a plant.
And if you can only get it in seed, it's probably not real.
Yeah, so we've gotten a lot of people coming in, and it's honestly kind of like it is a scam. So just be very careful of that, because we have a lot of people come in and they're like, well, do you guys carry this? You know, I see it on the internet, and they say, but they say you can only grow it from seed. So I might just have to get the seeds on the internet. And I always tell people, do not, because that plant does not exist.
You might get the seed, but
It's not going to look like that.
Well, they probably just won't grow.
Yeah, it's just a scam. So just be very careful of AI, and always check with, your local garden center. Culver's. You can message us on Facebook, Instagram, our website. You can get in touch with us pretty much anyway.
The podcast.
The podcast. So yeah, just let us know if you have questions and we can do that. But what did you cut back recently?
Well, when it was super nice, I cut back some corabels that were for some reason they just grow really, really well at my house, and they get massive. I think they were about 3 feet.
So why'd you cut them back though?
Because I don't want them anymore.
Now is not the time to cut.
Do not do
perennials
it.
Back.
If you want to save it, don't do it.
Yeah, it's still too early for perennials. So we talked about this in the fall during season 1, but basically going into the spring, sometimes it's a personal preference, we say, but we really recommend saving like your woodier stemmed items for the spring, because that helps maintain the moisture inside the plant for the season and to get them through the winter and keep them hydrated. Whereas if you cut things back in the fall, then you're just kind of exposing that to the dry, cold air, and they're going to get dehydrated. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it's just going to dry them out, and it's not going to be good for the plant. So we recommend waiting until the spring. But speaking of waiting until the spring, you want to wait until you start to see signs of new growth. So like, just because it's like a 50-degree sunny day does not mean that you want to go out and start chopping the plant, because I mean, just like a couple weeks ago, we had it was 70 degrees on Monday. It was so beautiful. And then 3 days later, we had snow. It was 0 degrees out. And so if you chop those plants, it's just going to expose them to those elements and totally kill them and ruin their chances of coming back.
Hopefully.
So for Bill, that was the goal. And that's why it's fine.
And I bet they'll still come.
And they will. They just grow. Yeah. They're going to thrive.
Yeah.
I have to dig them up.
So what else? Like evergreens?
Flowering trees.
Okay.
You want to bloom after they flower. So
you want to trim?
You want to prune them. Yep.
Prune.
If you do it before on most of them, you're gonna lose the bloom. You're not gonna see that flowering, because they will bloom on old wood. So you want to do that right after they flower. And then for like summer flowering trees, they do it on new wood. So I believe.
You want me to fact check?
Yeah.
Sorry. I wrote everything down so that we wouldn't say anything. But summer flowering trees bloom on new growth.
Right. So when do you prune them?
Like late winter.
Evergreens. I don't do a lot of pruning on my evergreens, but
it's more so just to maintain shape or from keeping them from getting out of hand. So it's very light pruning. You don't want to go back deep, because it's just going to create holes. So if you go back too far and you cut off any branches more on the inside of the tree, it's not going to regrow from there. So you want to keep those intact, and more so just trim on the edges to maintain kind of shape or keep it from getting out of control. But if you go too far back, you're just going to create holes in your arborvitae.
You don't want to over prune, because then you'll have brown spots.
Yeah. Oh, also, people always ask about, come the spring, they have some brown spots on their arbs. You want to cut those off, because they're not going to turn back green.
They're not going to go back green.
So just get rid of them. You don't have to do like a super heavy trim. Just get rid of those specific branches, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, like arbs, you usually get like those. I had one in my front yard, and that you get like a crazy little growth in a leader that doesn't. Pops out. Just
trim that off.
Give it a little snip.
So should we talk about shrubs?
Sure.
Did we kind of cover everything on the trees?
I think so.
Well,
the one is hydrangeas.
Okay, well, let me just go to my hydrangea page, because, hydrangeas are a beast of their own.
There's
so
many rules.
Yes. That's why I have my whole chart here of hydrangeas that we give to all of our new team members, because a lot of people will call in, they'll be like, oh, I don't know, like it's a hydrangea. When do I cut it back? Hydrangeas, there are 5 different main types of hydrangeas, and the trimming of everything like depends on what type it is. So for example, like a limelight, so you have the panicle hydrangea, and that would be like your limelight, bobo, little lime, pinky winky. Panicle hydrangeas are more of like a cone-shaped flower, typically like a limelight.
Mm-hmm.
And so they turn like more from a white to pink in the fall. So those are more like the sun tolerant ones too, because not all the hydrangeas are sun. Like for example, an oak leaf would be better for shade.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Part
just
sun, not full shade.
yeah, so there's just so many rules to know about hydrangeas. But for example, those ones, because they also bloom on different wood types. Some bloom on new wood, some bloom on old wood. So the panicle hydrangeas bloom on new wood. And so those ones you can cut back pretty heavily in the spring.
You don't need to though. Like
No,
I
you
have
don't need
one
to, but
that
if
we
you wanted
just
to
planted, and I'm not gonna prune
no,
it this year.
because it's a baby.
Well, yeah, but
But if it's like
certain
pretty
people-
big and out of control, you can
then you
take
can-
a decent amount
yeah.
off and they'll be pretty forgiving
Mm-hmm.
for growing back.
Yeah.
So then there's also like the smooth hydrangeas, like the arborescens.
Mm-hmm.
So those ones are more like your Annabelle, Invincible, Incredible. So those ones bloom on new wood. And explain, did we talk about new wood versus old wood?
I think I'm sure we have, but new wood.
I mean, in this episode.
Oh, not in this episode.
No.
So
No.
explain that quick.
Well, old wood is going to be the wood that's already been established
Existing.
from years past. Is what it's going to bloom on. New wood means it's going to have new sprouts come out that it's going to bloom on. So the old stuff, you're not going to get any blooms. You might get some greenery, but that's the ones you want to kind of prune.
And so those ones you can cut back more, but you don't have to. You don't want to cut all of like the old wood out because that also helps with the structure of the plant. So
Yeah.
like all the new stems coming up and that it's going to bloom on, you want some of the old wood in there to kind of help form the new
Yeah.
wood.
Mhm.
I don't know how else to say that. So those ones you would they bloom usually like June through August. And then those ones you would prune early spring, cut down to like
With
usually
the-
cut down to like a third. You can do
Yeah.
with those like 12 to
And
18.
again, you don't have to. You can wait and see the shape.
Yeah.
Like give it some time. If you just planted it, I like to say you probably give it some time. Let it actually
Like
root
3 to
in
5
and
years
grow.
probably.
3 years,
2 to 3.
2 to 3, and then you can start pruning. I don't think unless it's something like a smoke bush where they just take off.
Yeah, that's true.
It's really if you don't need to prune it for the space, I would kind of let it go a little bit. And that goes with a tree too. Like if you plant a tree the first year, I wouldn't go out and prune it right away. I would give it some time, let it establish, just so it's not as susceptible to some of the things that come along with pruning, getting shocked in the summer.
Well, plus you don't get a true growth
For
the first
3 years,
the first
2 to
year
3
anyways.
years.
So
You don't
let
want to
it-
just like immediately start chopping them
right.
back.
Just let it.
So if
do
you
its
planted
thing.
hydrangeas last year or even the year before, don't feel like you have to prune them. These are just like kind of the guidelines for if they're out of control and you want to.
You can shape it, but as far as pruning goes, I don't think you need to.
No.
Yeah. So like there's also the big leaf hydrangea. So these ones are called macrophylla. I never know the pronunciation. There's so many different ways. But so those are like the colored ones. So if you see like big like blue blooms and purple blooms and pink blooms, so those have been created.
What's
None
through,
of the
like, the-
ones,
None of the
you've
ones we've really talked about
have
so
been-
far have been, but like they've been created to have that color, so it's not something that just like happens naturally. And those are the ones that you can change the color based on the pH of the soil. So sometimes, the soil pH affects the color of it. So for example, if you wanted it, I always forget which way this is, but like if you made it more acidic, it would turn, is that blue?
I mean, if you have one, there's blue and a pink one. If you have a blue one, it'll change like to more of a purple. You're not going to change it to a pink.
Yeah. You're
The
just
pink
changing the
one, you can kinda
shade,
just change the
essentially.
Well,
shade.
because I got one that was dead, and I just tried to revive it, put it in my backyard.
Dead.
Well, it looked dead.
It was sickly.
It was.
You got a
it
sick
was-
one.
I mean, it looked like it was just stems, and I put it in my backyard.
You got one that was pruned back.
And you wanted to nurse it
pruned
back
and I
to
nursed it back to health, and I planted it in my backyard, and it 2 years later came up, grew, and
thriving.
it had white blooms, white flowers.
So you didn't have one of the blue ones.
The macrophylla.
The next year, it was like a pink. And I didn't do anything.
Well, you could have had a quick fire, like some of the quick fires that come up white and then go to a pink, and maybe it just didn't get to that stage that first year.
Maybe I don't
Like
know.
it could have been a maturity thing, especially
Because there was no. I mean, when I got it,
It started white again and went to pink.
No, it just went to pink.
That's weird.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it was a
weird.
macropylla then,
didn't
and it
know
just
what it
didn't have
was.
enough acidity in the soil yet.
That's
or
what I was.
something.
Yeah, but he didn't add anything.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If
I
the
don't know.
soil change it. I don't know.
But basically, if you
Hydrangeas
add
weirded me out.
If you add like mere acid, or we have like a Jack's acid loving fertilizer, so you can add that to the soil, you can amend the soil to make it more acidic, and then that will change the, what am I trying to say?
pH level.
Well, yes,
Sounds-
but it'll change the shade
Yeah.
of the flowers. So it'll make it, like if it's blue, it'll make it more purple, or purple will make it more blue, and
Well,
then
what's
pinks
your-
go back and forth.
What's your guys' favorite hydrangea?
There's a lot of good ones. I think it depends on the size and space you have. Quick fires are a great one just because they're
I was going to say that's the classic
they're very
in Limelight.
Big strawberry vanilla guy.
yeah. Those are nice. They droop a little more. I like nice uniform, and that's what the quick fire gives you. And you can also take like a quick fire. You have a quick fire which is like 5 to 7 tall and wide, and then they also have a little quick fire which is 3 to 5 tall and wide, and then they also have a tiny quick fire which is like 2.5 by 2.5. So the little quick fire can give you, or the quick fire range of sizes can really fit any space you have and give you that nice white to pink to reddish bloom.
So I will say the Bobo hydrangea has become really popular too, because it's a
That's
smaller
classic.
one. And so a lot of people want that hydrangea look and the huge flowers and just those snowball shapes, but they don't have like a giant area for it. And then Bobos are what, like 3 by 3?
3 to 4 by 3 to 4, yeah.
Yeah, and so those are one that stay a
But
little more
that's
compact.
That's just a true white.
Yeah, so if you just want like a classic white hydrangea, the Bobo is a good option.
But then there's 2 hydrangeas coming out this year. It's supposed to be blooming in June. So it's an
Earlier.
early bloomer. So it's supposed to
What
get
color?
It's going to be like a pink.
Because
pinkish
Culver's
red.
going to carry that.
Yeah.
So is it a
you have some
macropylla?
coming in.
It's got to be if it's pink,
I don't
unless
know.
it starts white.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with it. I got some on order because one of my growers told me it was going to be a hot hydrangea this year. And then there's also one which is going to be like a black bloom. Like
Oh yeah, we talked
it's
about
like
that.
a dark one.
Wait, I thought it was the leaf, or that's the bloom.
I'm confused on it right now. I don't know. I haven't had it like in person to see it. But we're only getting 10 of those, so
Those are gonna go fast.
so they'll go pretty fast, and I already have a couple people on a list for them. So if you want those,
Congrats.
call in and talk to Katie.
Great. So going down the line, okay, so we talked about panicle hydrangeas, smooth hydrangeas, big leaf hydrangeas, then we have oak leaf hydrangea. So those ones have literally like an oak tree. The leaf is shaped like that. They can take more shade. We planted one in Jordan's sister's yard.
it's just a different. I mean, it's a
That one
different
blooms on
look.
old wood,
Yeah,
so you don't want to prune it back too much.
it's a different look. The leaf is going to be a little bigger, little different shape, but
Yeah, so you want to do like some really light pruning on that one, because since it does bloom on old wood, if you cut everything back, you're not going to get flowers. You're not going to really see much. So then there's the mountain hydrangea.
great hydrangeas.
Those ones, I believe some
Beautiful.
examples are like tough stuff, tiny tough stuff.
I believe so.
Yeah, so we usually get some of those in.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and those ones are part sun to shade, right? Tiny tough stuff.
hmm
Okay. All right, we can move on from the hydrangeas. We've done trees. Let's talk about, oh wait, I do want to point out about like lilacs. So both the shrub form and on standard. So those are really important too. A lot of people don't think about this, but once they're done blooming, you need to cut off the blooms like right away, because then that starts focusing more of the energy into the plant and gets the plant ready for blooms the following year. So if you have a reblooming one where it blooms 2 to 3 times a season, you need to cut off those spent blooms anyways to get it to even rebloom that season. But even if you have one that just blooms once a year, you need to cut off the blooms as soon as they're done blooming to produce the energy for the blooms next year. You'll still get blooms if you don't prune it back, but
Not
not prune it. I need to rephrase that. Deadhead it, like, and take the blooms off, but not as much. It'll be a lot more full and beautiful if you cut the blooms off right away the following year, or for the following year.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about shrubs. I have another whole sheet about shrubs
Woo!
because it's a long one. So let's talk about like spring flowering shrubs. So like lilac, forsythia,
Great plants. We have them
yeah,
all.
Weigelia, bridal wreath, spirea.
When are we gonna have them?
Spirea, blooms
When
in
are we
spring.
going to have them? That's weather dependent.
End of
Okay.
April usually.
End of April, sometimes earlier when people are pushing for earlier.
But it's good to know that usually around Mother's Day
we're
ready.
fully stocked and ready to
Yes.
go.
So you want to prune those back immediately after they're done flowering.
Mhm.
If you do it, it's just anything that blooms. If you prune it that season before it blooms, you're not going to get any blooms that season.
For the most part.
Anything that blooms on old wood, especially.
Right.
But if you just prune back after flowering, should be good.
Yeah.
So we talked about spring flowering shrubs, summer flowering shrubs. Those usually bloom on new wood. I guess it depends on what it is, but like panicle hydrangea, most of those are hydrangeas, Rosa Sharon, potentilla. So evergreen shrubs, you want to just kind of do more for shaping them.
Yeah.
So like use boxwood. We talked about like the arborvitae, but
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more so a light prune.
Yep.
But you can do that. And again, that's more like late spring, early summer. So really, is there anything people should be pruning right now? Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
So anyways, just don't prune right now. It's too early. Even if it's 50 degrees and sunny, don't do it right now. We, on a open house weekend, our spring open house, it's probably like 7 years ago, it snowed like 3 inches.
Yep.
And that was like, it's usually the end of April, like last weekend in April, and it snowed.
Yep.
So I know the weather teases us sometimes, but
So the flip side is too, for planting shrubs, perennials, trees, you want to wait until the frost is gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
which
if
we usually say
you-
Mother's Day again.
Right. But you can plant before Mother's Day on trees and shrubs as long as one, it's not going to drop below freezing, or if it does drop below freezing, you can put like a frost cloth or something to protect it. And it's not going to necessarily kill anything, but it will hamper the growth and blooms for that year. And that happens a lot on redbud either way. But
Let's talk about landscape.
Now's the time if you want landscaping in 2026, call Culver's because we're booking out.
Yeah, we have a lot of patios on the books, anything.
There's lots of landscapes, some pretty elaborate landscapes, trees, shrubs,
perennials,
evergreens. There's a couple big ones coming up. But yeah.
So when do you guys usually start?
Well, it's weather permitting, but we usually aim for like our average start date to the season is usually somewhere in April, mid-April. April 14th is kind of like where we start scheduling, and then we kind of go back a week or two from that, but it averages out around April. Like you said, I mean, sometimes we get snow around then too.
And are we hiring for landscape?
We are hiring. We're looking for experienced foremen. We're looking for people that want to enjoy.
Do you have some maintenance spots left? I know that one's usually
we
popular.
have maintenance.
And explain maintenance.
So maintenance is basically you're going to work with our maintenance team and go out and
Maintenance is you're going to work with our maintenance team. Okay, pruning.
Yeah, it's
spring
pruning.
and fall cleanup. Can you tell it's our first episode back?
It's spruning, guys.
Spring and fall cleanup.
Is
Okay.
that spooning and pruning at the
I don't
same
know
time?
what they do. Oh no.
Mowing.
It's no.
Dirt.
Okay, but we're hiring for that too. Oh,
Yes.
you're not done with maintenance. yet.
Maintenance.
Okay.
So
Talk
it's
about maintenance.
pruning, job site cleanups. It's maintenance. It's going through everything. Weeding. Beginning of the year, it's a lot of job site cleanup, cleaning up all the plants and trimming. And
Well, like we were just talking about, like all. So
Pruning.
we
you're
go out
going
to.
through and you're
So some customers don't want to do like cutting back their plants or,
Correct.
do the spring and fall cleanup that we were just talking about. So our maintenance team will go out and do that for them. So that's
Mhm.
kind of what we're hiring for in that department.
yeah.
What about, are we hiring mowers still?
We are looking for mowers. We're looking for
I feel like we're just always
For-
hiring for everything because like
Yeah.
we're just always looking to grow.
Well, we're looking for the individuals that want to grow with a company,
Yeah,
and
long
make
term.
landscaping a career.
Yeah.
If you want to get into this industry and learn and get trained the correct way, how to build patios, how to plant, looking to grow your knowledge and make it a career.
Well, and I will
That's who we're
say
looking for.
we promote from within probably 90% of the time.
Yeah.
I would say. And so we do a lot, like usually a lot of people will start as like a landscape laborer, work it up to foreman, maybe a project manager, or, if they want to get into design and they've gone to Kirkwood for horticulture, they start in the field and then they can kind of work their way into the design staff. So
Right.
we like to invest in people for long term, I would
Correct.
say.
Yeah.
So it is a good.
We're just looking for individuals that care about landscaping and have a passion for it and want to make it a career.
Yeah.
So
okay, do we have any what's the dirt today? Any dirt?
I need dirt.
Oh, well, how about the dirt from your TikTok the other day when we spilled the dirt on you, literally?
Oh, that was terrible. Yeah, that was dirty. I was cleaning dirt out of my ears and hair, and yeah, it was.
If you don't follow us on social media, please do. It's just The Garden Dirt. I think on TikTok it might be The Garden Dirt Podcast or something. But yes, I am making Jordan and Phil do some interesting TikToks. So
Yeah, so follow along. And
so Phil was literally caked in dirt.
yes. Jordan took full advantage of that.
And I'd like to note that we did that twice. That was the second take that was posted. So
why are you giving away?
It was not a one take wonder. So I'm just saying Phil had to get caked in dirt twice.
Yeah, twice. Twice.
Well, the first time he messed up, so
I didn't mess up.
wasn't me.
Yes, it was.
All I
Messed
did
up.
is
So my what's the dirt is more so just like, it's not really a funny story, but like the inside scoop on something. The jellycats have been just flying out the door. I know we've talked about them a couple times, but if you don't know about Jellycat, they are these prestigious stuffed amusables that come from London, and they're like a collectible. I compare them to the Beanie Baby because people come in, a lot of teenagers, college students, adults, and honestly, we sell them way more to teenagers and above versus like kids. But they're in the kids section technically. But we have a lot, like the whole spring collections here. There's like a watering can. There's a bear. The Bartholomew bear is in like a sunflower outfit.
There's a pigeon.
The pigeon
there's
just
been a couple
came.
people that have
The
wanted.
classic cat. That's like the main collectible item. We have carrots, broccoli,
The all-in-one bear.
corn, the bear,
what's the
Asparagus.
asparagus. We just got blankets. Oh, we just got the blankets in. So people have been asking us for those blankets. They just released these new blankets and they come with like a stuffed animal attached to them. And so we just got the blankets in. So we do have a few of the animals for that.
And there's a sandwich.
Yeah, caprese.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan put them all in the system, so he's just naming like everything he remembers from putting them in.
There's
But-
a
I just remember
penguin. The penguin's in.
Oh yeah, penguin just got restocked, which I know it seems like a weird time for the penguin, but
It's here.
it doesn't
so-
matter. When Jellycat restocks, you get it because people will buy it.
What about the rabbits for Easter?
There are some rabbits, so there's some purple
They're
rabbits.
not out yet.
So the purple ones are out, but then there's some other new ones for Easter that are not out yet. We haven't received them yet, but we'll get them out as soon as we do. But yeah, we have a lot of Easter
there's
fun stuff coming.
There's a dragon left.
There's one of the I know, I don't even know if it will be by the time this airs.
I know.
so
There's one tie-dye dragon. It hasn't been put out yet.
Yeah, I think
It's
but it's
out.
up high, so I don't think people see it.
One tie-dye dragon. Phil might buy
That
it, though.
literally the second it came in, somebody asked me for it, and I was like, it's literally in the back room. Like it just came through the door, and she's like, can I buy it? And I was like, yeah. And we only got 2 because Jellycat caps how many items you can get for
So
things.
come in and get your Jellycat.
Yeah. But yeah, we have seeds out. You want to get your seeds now. We'll talk about that with Bob and Sharon more next week. But yeah, we just have a lot of fun things going on in the garden center. All the Easter's out. We have St. Patrick's Day stuff out. We have the boutique section is fully refreshed and brand new. We have a ton of new items. So the store is just like in full swing, and we are getting ready to rumble in the spring.
Yeah, it's
We're
kind of
ready.
our lull. We're just itching to get going.
Yeah.
Right before the storm.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks for tuning in to episode 1 of
It's
season 2. So we will see you back next week with Bob and Sharon.
And that's the dirt.